You know, you must think I'm terribly ungrateful. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even be living in this house, and here I haven't even had the courtesy to invite you and Elliot over for dinner yet.
Well, I kind of thought that might be Draper's doing. I have the feeling my presence at the table would spoil his appetite.
Well, I really do wish you and Draper got along better.
Oh, well, who knows? Maybe one day we will. Now, tell me, what gastronomical delights are you preparing?
Trying something new and Italian. I figured since I have such a well-equipped kitchen, I might as well make use of it.
Well, I certainly hope you don't take after your mother when it comes to cooking skill, darling. I still don't know how to scramble eggs.
Well, Draper told me the other day that he had to let out his belt a notch, so I must be improving.
Well, maybe I should stop by and have a quick lesson.
Well, if you'd like to, you better do that pretty soon. If you come by in the next couple of weeks, you might knock on the door and it'd be answered by a stranger.
April, darling, you're resigning yourself to something that hasn't happened yet.
Margot, as soon as David Henson is well enough to interview Draper, we will be offered the job and we will be off to New York.
You don't know that for sure.
Margot, I've already told you how the other partners are thrilled with Draper, and I have no doubt that Mr. Henson won't give them the okay to hire him.
Now, listen, you never know. In the business world, many a sure thing changes at the last minute.
I don't know. I think this would take a miracle.
Well, don't give up hope. I mean, miracles do happen. Now, better let you get back to dinner preparations, and I will see you in the morning.
Okie doke.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Time to make a miracle.
Hello?
David? Hello, this is Margot. How are you feeling?
What's the matter, Margot? Are you worried that I might kick off before you get that favor done by me?
No. You know, I'm not that insensitive. I was just wondering if you had gotten around to taking care of my little request.
Well, my partners have their minds pretty well set about your son-in-law. It's not going to be easy for me to tell them that Draper isn't right for the job. I haven't even met him.
Come on. Now, you are the most persuasive person I know, David. I'm sure you will come through for me.
Margot, one of the reasons I'm in the hospital is to get away from the pressures of the job.
Look, you did promise, David.
I'm a sick man, Margot. I shouldn't be having meetings in my room. But I have contacted Mr. Seward, Mr. Paxton, Mr. Whiteside, and that's exactly what I'll be doing tonight.
I've never been so humiliated in all my life.
Ah, come on, it's only for 2 days.
Look, Elliot, my name, my reputation, and my skills have made this club a success. And what do I get in return? I'll tell you what I get. I get your friend, Mr. Mickey Dials. You take off for a couple of days and you leave that bartender in charge of the club.
Are you making a mountain out of a molehill?
I want it on the record that I consider it a slap in the face.
Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't my intention.
Oh, come on, Elliot. You know that you would do absolutely anything to get my goat, regardless of the consequences to the club.
And here I was, thinking I was doing you a favor.
Oh, really? How do you figure that?
Well, I was thinking you were so busy in the kitchen that adding another responsibility to your heavy duties would be too much.
Oh. Well, the next time you consider doing me such a favor, Elliot, do me a real favor. Don't do it.
Well, the club doesn't seem to be any the worse for the experience.
It was like making a peasant king for a day. He went completely berserk.
Oh, really?
He spent the better part of 2 nights table hopping and mingling with the guests.
Well, I've got nothing against a congenial host.
Well, there is such a thing as being too friendly. He ordered a free drink for every person he shook hands with. Didn't forget to order one for himself.
I'll ask him about that.
While you're at it, ask him also how he messed up all of the reservations and why he didn't do any kind of work which he didn't consider fun.
You know what, Antoine? I think you're just jealous.
Really? The worst part is the total lack of respect he showed for me. Most of the time he refused to acknowledge my existence. And when he did, it was to treat me like a dishwasher.
That's funny. I get along well with Mickey.
Oh, well, I'll tell you one thing, Elliot. The next time you decide to take some time off, I will be left in charge of the club.
Are you telling me what I should do?
Elliot, if I can't make you listen to reason, I know someone who can.
Don't threaten me, Antoine.
I'm not kidding this time, Elliot. I won't hesitate at all to go over your head and speak to Margot. I am sure she will see the good sense in leaving me in charge. And she will also make you listen.
Don't waste your time, Antoine. There may not be a next time for you.
Now, who's threatening who, huh?
No, I was merely implying that if going away creates such friction, I simply won't go away the next time. Get that door, will you?
If you'll excuse me, I have work to take care of.
You ever start a fan club for me, I don't think Antoine's going to be a charter member.
Oh, boy. Antoine says you ignored him most of the weekend. Why don't you teach me how to pretend he's not around?
The great round hope kept coming over and telling me what I should be doing, you know? Got so bad I finally had to tune him out.
Where about his allegations that you were drinking up most of the profits?
Oh, look, I might have gotten carried away with the complimentary drinks, but it was Antoine who was acting like Diamond Jim.
Oh, really? What do you mean?
That guy can spend cash. He must have made about 3 or 4 trips to the cash box.
Great. Let him make all the trips to the cash box he wants. But let him just write it all down in that little book I gave him.
Well, he writes it down. You don't think Antoine would try and cheat you?
Unicorn.
Hello, my darling. Working hard?
Margot, how you doing? Yes, glad to hear from you.
I was just sitting here, trying to think pleasant thoughts when suddenly this very handsome restaurateur popped into my mind.
Oh, you flatter me.
Oh, I miss you. In fact, I'm in too good a mood to sit behind this desk all night working, so I thought maybe I would come over to the Unicorn and have dinner with my husband, unless, of course, he's too busy.
No, that sounds like a fine idea. Matter of fact, the timing couldn't be more perfect.
Oh, for what?
Margot, there is something I wish to talk to you about. So I'll see you in a little while, huh? Bye, darling.
Is Mrs. Dorn coming over?
Yes, Mickey, Mrs. Dawn is coming over to celebrate the good mood she's in, and by the time she leaves, we'll have a good mood of our own to celebrate.
Whatever you say, Mr. Dorn.
It's guaranteed, Mickey. Tonight is the night we teach Antoine some humility.
One good-looking table.
Well, I'm glad you like it. Wait till you see how appetizing it looks when all the goodies I've prepared are on those plates.
Well, for you to go to so much trouble, there must be a special occasion. It's not our birthdays, and it's not our anniversary.
No, but it is a very special occasion.
Huh?
It happens to be our first intimate, romantic, candlelit dinner alone in our new home.
Right.
And it may be the last one we'll have, so let's enjoy it.
Oh, I think I just lost my appetite.
Draper, I'm sorry, but I really didn't mean that to hurt you.
Well, it does hurt me. I mean, I feel like a heel.
Why? It's not your fault that one of the best legal firms in the country has discovered something that I've known all along. That you happen to be one of the best legal minds in the country. They'd be foolish not to scoop you up.
I would be foolish to turn them down.
I know. I do know. Draper, I love you. And your success means as much to me as it does to you. And as for the house, we will find another house in New York. And there are more TV stations in New York than there are anywhere east of Monticello. I'm sure somewhere I can get a job. The only thing that will be hard is having to leave some people who mean a lot to me. But I've taken care of that, too.
Oh, how have you taken care of that?
Well, I was thinking that if I could visit Monticello every once in a while, I could do that. Then I will be happy in New York.
That's fine, and that's a very reasonable compromise.
There are a lot of people here who mean a lot to me, but if the most important person in my life is going to be in New York, well, then that's exactly where I intend to be.
So, here we are, the perfect end to a perfect day.
This is Raven's favorite place.
Oh, I could tell that when you asked her to select a restaurant for this evening. She chose the Unicorn in no time flat.
Yes, well, I picked this spot because it is one place in Monticello that has everything.
Good evening. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Swift. I read about the nomination in the afternoon paper. I'm very pleased.
Thank you very much.
Ladies, allow me to escort you to your table.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you again, Mr.
Thank you,
Sampson.
Mr. Thorne.
I didn't realize you two knew each other.
Oh, yes, we met some time ago. Although I must admit, I hardly recognized you.
I was in a different profession at the time. I was quite pleased to see your name on the reservation list. Hadn't expected to see you again quite so soon.
That's true. We've seen a great deal of each other lately, haven't we?
Raven, I thought you looked lovely the other night at dinner, but tonight you look even more lovely.
Elliot was with us at Palace Park over the weekend.
Yeah. Sounds like old home week. You and Raven, Miles and Nicole, and Elliot and Mrs. Dawn.
Oh, Elliot came by himself.
Oh, yes, my wife had a previous commitment.
That's too bad.
But I did manage to occupy myself.
Well, it's a shame you didn't get better acquainted with Mrs. Dawn, Logan. You might have persuaded her to endorse your candidacy.
Geraldine, this weekend was just for fun.
And we certainly did have a lot of that, didn't we?
I'd be more than happy to arrange a dinner party for 5. It's the least I can do, Logan. After all, if it hadn't been for you and Raven, I would have spent a most miserable weekend at Palace Park.
Elliot, the pleasure was ours.
What would you like to drink?
I think champagne would be appropriate for this occasion.
Excuse me, Mr. Thorne. There's a phone call for you.
If you'll excuse me a second. Mickey, take the order, please. I think champagne would be in order. Yes, Elliot Dorn.
Sarah Albright here, Elliot.
Sarah, this is a surprise.
Not a very pleasant one from the tone of your voice.
I thought I told you that calling me at the club was inadvisable.
I'm not supposed to call you at the club. I'm not supposed to call you at home. You were supposed to call me, but I haven't heard from you in weeks.
I've been busy.
Wish I could say the same for me.
Well, Sarah, how have you been occupying your time?
Polishing jewelry, mostly.
Listen, I hope you haven't worn any of the gifts I gave you outside of the house.
Relax, Ducky. Although the odds of anyone recognizing the stuff as belonging to Margot are pretty remote.
Listen, but it's a chance we can't afford to take.
Elliot, I want to see you.
Soon.
I'm bored and I'm broke. And I really do need some money.
Listen, I sent you a check only last week.
Well, I went out shopping. And I saw this beautiful outfit that I just had to have. I'm afraid it was a trifle on the expensive side.
Listen, why don't you get a job?
Oh, it's too hot to pound the pavement. Maybe in the fall. Besides, I enjoy living on Elliot Dorn's unemployment insurance.
I am not made of money.
You were the one who forced me to leave my job with Margot.
I had to do that as a gesture to April, otherwise she would have blown the whistle and we would both have been tossed out.
Elliot, I've decided to make your night. I'm going to come down to the Unicorn. I'm looking forward to having a nice long talk with you in that comfy private office of yours.
Not tonight, Sarah.
Why? Do you have a headache?
Sarah, you know how much I'd like to be with you, but tonight the timing couldn't be worse.
Why?
Well, if you have to know, Margot called and she's coming over for dinner. Now, the two of you being here at the same time would present a most awkward situation.
Margot never comes to the club.
She is tonight. I'm sorry.
Well, so am I.
Would you care for a drink?
I don't think so. I think maybe I'd better remain quite sober just in case you decide to ask me for some money.
Oh, that's not nice. But in this case, it seems that I'm the one who's been giving out the money.
Oh, my goodness, you better clarify that statement.
Margot, it hurts me to say this, but there is a thief in our midst.
Well, why do you say that?
Well, every evening I tally the cash receipts, and over the last couple of weeks I've noticed an imbalance on more than one occasion.
You mean someone's actually been dipping into the till?
I'm afraid so.
I knew it. Darling, I knew it. Now, the moment I saw that Mickey Dowes, I knew he was a man you absolutely could not trust.
Margot, Mickey is a loyal employee. I trust him implicitly.
I don't know who else has access to the registers.
Margot, I'm afraid at this time my judgment in personnel turned out to be a bit better than yours. The culprit is none other than Antoine.
Oh, no, come on, darling. Surely you're mistaken.
It was Mickey who brought his actions to my attentions. He kept noting Antoine going to the cash register on more than one occasion, and he informed me.
I just don't understand. I don't think he could steal, not Antoine.
Well, I didn't believe it myself, but I looked through the one-way mirror and I saw it with my own eyes.
Why? I mean, why would he do that?
The club is doing well, Margot, and apparently Antoine feels he's not getting his fair share of the golden fleece.
Oh, come on. He is hardly what I would call underpaid.
Oh, I agree with you. But listen, if you don't believe me, let me call Mickey and he'll clarify the thing for you. Mickey, would you step in here for a second, please? Margot, I remember you told me that the reason Antoine agreed to join this venture is because he had problems with his last partner.
Well, yes, he told me that his partner was stealing him blind.
Well, I think we never did hear both sides of the story. The reverse may have been true. Come in, Mickey.
What can I do for you, Mr. Dorn? Hello, Mrs. Dorn.
Mickey?
Mickey, please tell my wife what you know of Antoine's doings.
Oh, well. Well, about a couple of weeks ago, Antoine squeezed his way behind the bar and went over to the cash register, took out a couple of bills. Well, I didn't think much about it, and he started coming back on a regular basis. I asked him what he was doing. He said not to worry about it. Mr. Dorn knew all about it.
And blatant falsehood.
A couple of nights ago, he came back again, and I asked him, and he got really nervous and told me to mind my own business. Because, 99% of the time, I handle the cash. If something isn't kosher, Mr. Dorn's liable to think that I took that bread. So, I got a little suspicious, and I checked it out.
I was shocked to hear Mickey's revelation. But I kept an eye open, and he wasn't exaggerating one bit.
Yeah, well, this weekend was the clincher. I'm afraid, while Mr. Dorn was away, Mr. Antoine helped himself quite a few times. He spent more time behind the cash register than he did in the kitchen.
These are very serious accusations that you're making, Mickey. I suggest maybe we have Antoine come in here, and we'd better get to the bottom of this right away.
Of course, my dear. Mickey, would you get Antoine, please?
Antoine? Mr. Dorn would like to see you.
What is it, Elliot? Oh, Margot, darling.
Hello, Antoine.
Oh, you have no idea how delighted I am to see you. Oh, tonight I have such a quiche. It's absolutely wonderful. Let me go and get you a sample.
Antoine, now, Mickey and Elliot have informed me that you've been taking a few samples of your own from the cash register.
Oh, I thought I was being very discreet about it.
You admit taking the money?
Well, of course I did. As part of my salary. Tell her, Elliot.
Tell her what, Antoine?
Well, that you told me to take the money.
This is preposterous. I did no such thing.
But you did. Margot, when I came to work here, Elliot promised me that as soon as the club started making profits, I would get a raise in salary. A few weeks ago, he called me in here and explained that we were still in the red, but that he felt badly about not giving me a raise, so he decided it was time I got one. But he didn't want to put it on my paycheck because I don't know, something to do with the bookkeeping. I don't understand any of that. But he told me to help myself to some cash on occasion in lieu of a raise.
Elliot, did you ever say anything that might have been misconstrued by Antoine, making him think this?
Margot, I'm absolutely speechless by this man's gall. Antoine never spoke to me about money matters.
But we did, Elliot, right here in this office.
Listen, Antoine, did you finally go on that diet you were talking about? Maybe the lack of food has made you dizzy.
Look, Margot, you know I am speaking the truth. I don't know what kind of game your husband is playing. But you should know me by now to realize that I wouldn't touch a penny that wasn't mine.
Antoine, empty your pockets, please.
Why?
Because I tell you to.
All right. I want you to know that I resent being treated like a common criminal.
What's that book?
Well, that's the book you gave me, Elliot, to keep track of the money I took.
I've never seen this book before in my life.
What? Now you've done it. Now you have really gone and done it. I will not put up with that kind of persecution.
There's a whole lot of money entered here.
Elliot, you knew nothing of this.
No, Margot.
That's it. That's it. That's enough. I quit. I quit.
Well, I guess it's just as well that he quit. Saves me the trouble of firing him.
I'll get it, honey. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Scott.
Mr. Seward, how are you?
I'm fine, Draper. I'm calling from New York.
Gee, it's nice to hear from you. Is there anything I can do for you?
Well, I'm just calling to tell you that your meeting with Mr. Henson will no longer be required.
Oh, well, I thought that I had to meet all the members of the firm before any decision could be made.
Yes, well, I've already had a meeting with all the partners of the firm, and we spoke about you.
I see.
And we have reached a decision about your joining Seward, Paxton, and Whiteside.
Well, I'm listening.
Draper, we think you're a very fine young man, and a very competent lawyer. And I know I gave you the impression that it would only be a matter of time before you joined the firm, but you see, a certain situation has arisen here, causing us to rethink our current personnel needs. There's been a policy change. Draper, what I'm trying to say is that the job is no longer available to you, and I'm very, very sorry.
Oh, Margot, it's all so incredible. It happened so suddenly. I mean, there I was, sitting there telling Draper how I was willing to make this move to New York when the phone rang.
And it was New York.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't in the room when he took the call, but when I walked in and saw the look on his face.
Well, what did he say? I mean, what was their reason for this sudden change of mind?
I don't know, and I don't think Draper knows either. They said something about a policy decision, you know, one of those meaningless phrases that says absolutely nothing.
I see.
Margot, he looked so stunned. I mean, there he was just sitting there on the sofa. Looked as if a 2-ton brick had fallen off the ceiling and hit him on the head.
Poor Draper, he must have been awfully upset.
Oh, yeah. Didn't rant or rave or anything like that. Just sat there and stared. How can anyone do anything like that to anyone? Especially after they made such a big fuss over Draper and took us to New York and practically promised him the job.
Darling, as I said before, I mean, these things just happen in business. I mean, nothing is ever a sure thing.
I feel so awful for him. I've never seen him look so dejected. Oh, it's awful. I mean, I feel heartbroken for him. You want to know the worst part, though?
What, darling?
I don't know how to behave. I don't know how to react to him. Certainly don't know what to say. No matter what I say, it just doesn't sound right.
It's always difficult to comfort someone. It's only natural.
I don't know if I can comfort him. I don't know if I can make him completely believe that I'm sorry. I mean, that's what confuses me so much. Because I'm not really sorry it happened, not for me. I mean, I'm sorry for Draper. I'm horribly sorry for him. He wanted that job so much. But his not getting the job means that I don't have to leave Monticello. I don't have to leave my job, my family, my friends. It means I can stay where my home is.
Darling, it's only natural you should feel that way. And after all, you would have had to give up everything that really meant anything to you if Draper had gotten that job.
Well, I don't know, Margot. I wouldn't have had to give up the most important thing, which happens to be my husband and my marriage.
Well, you know how I feel about it. I still think it wasn't very fair of Draper to ask you to make those sacrifices.
But I would have done it, Margot. You do know that. And I can't stand in the way of Draper's success. That isn't fair.
Well, Draper will do just fine here. Now, believe me.
I'm still so puzzled about the whole thing. Seward, Paxton, and Whiteside were so eager to get Draper into the firm. The way they wined and dined us, the things they said to him.
You know what they say, that all things work out for the best. You know, in this case, I think that adage is absolutely true.
Yeah, well, you'd be hard put to convince Draper of that.
Darling, Draper should be thankful that things did work out this way. I think that if you'd gone to New York, that your marriage would have suffered. No, really, you couldn't help but have some sort of resentment about giving up everything, and a rift could have developed in your marriage.
Margot, how can you even say that?
Besides, I mean, I don't want to sound selfish, but to tell you the truth, I'm kind of glad everything worked out this way.
Oh, well, you just didn't want to lose the best assistant you've ever had.
Yeah, say nothing of the best daughter I ever had. Oh, darling, I wonder if Draper really knows what kind of a special person you really are.
Well, look, it's getting late. We've got a lot of work to do. We better head out to the studio.
Yes, boss. Let me get my folder ready. You know, if you stand back and look at this very objectively, you'll see that I'm right. Oh, could this be? This hour? Yes, Oscar? Oh, yeah? Oh, would you just tell him I'm busy? Oh, he did. Oh, all right. Send him up. Boy, that's a dandy way to start the morning.
What was that all about?
It seems Antoine is about to pay me a visit.
Well, you always tell me what a charming man he is. You don't seem too pleased about seeing him.
Oh, no, I have a feeling this isn't going to be a very pleasant conversation.
What does he want to talk about?
Leaving the Unicorn.
Antoine's quitting?
No, he already quit.
Really?
Yes, just before he was fired.
Oh, well.
You want to know what happened? I'll tell you all about it much later, darling. But for now, why don't you just wait in the car? I don't think this will take very long.
Well, maybe I should stay here. It might deter him from making a scene.
Don't worry. I think I can handle Antoine.
Margot, we must talk.
Yes, April, wait for me downstairs. I'll just be a moment. Well, Antoine, can I get you a little coffee? Would you like that?
No, thank you. Just a little conversation. I remember the first time I saw this room, I thought it was lovely. It still is. Margot, surely you must realize by now that an injustice has been done me.
My dear fellow, if you wanted a raise, you could have just asked for a raise.
I was satisfied with the financial situation.
Oh, well, I guess you were. That $2,000 that you appropriated from the cash register would have been tax-free.
In all my years in business, two things have never been questioned. My skill as a chef and my integrity.
Well, there's always a first time, isn't there?
Do you really believe I'm a thief?
Oh, Antoine, you told me that you took the cash from the register.
I also told you why I took it.
For heaven's sakes, why don't you be man enough to admit what you've done and stop trying to push the blame off to someone else?
Margot, I swear to you, Elliot told me to take that money.
Oh, in lieu of an on-the-books salary increase, right?
Yes.
Well, Elliot swears to me that he said nothing of the sort. And I have to believe him.
Because he's your husband?
No, because that would have been a very unprofessional way to run a business.
That's precisely the way he ran the Unicorn, unprofessionally.
He may have made mistakes because of lack of experience, but I find your actions inexcusable.
He tricked me. I was tricked into taking that money. It was a setup simply to get me out of your husband's hair.
How do you figure that?
Well, it's no secret we were always disagreeing about things, to put it mildly.
Well, you both have strong egos.
I guess running the club went to his head. The title manager seemed to mean that any decision he made, however ludicrous, couldn't be questioned. We were constantly at one another's throat. And, well, last night, I guess he decided to go for the jugular.
You are accusing my husband of lying to me.
Margot, it's simply that he wanted a free hand, a completely free hand. The only way to do that was to get me out of the picture altogether. I was framed.
These are very serious accusations, Antoine.
The only crime I am guilty of is trying to safeguard your interests. Margot, look at me, look at me. Do you honestly believe there is a single crooked bone in this fat body?
Well, it is still your word against Elliot's. Now, how do you suggest that I get to the bottom of this thing?
Look, I'll do anything you want. Call the police, have me strapped into one of those lie detector things. I sure have nothing to hide, which is more than I can say for that gigolo.
That gigolo happens to be my husband.
I'm sorry, Margot.
I think you had better leave, Antoine.
Margot, will you please face facts? Get that husband of yours off the pedestal you've put him. Before it's too late.
I don't have to listen to this in my own home.
Where's Elliot? I want to see him.
You will not. You will leave here immediately or I'll have you thrown out.
Look, he cost me my job and he's tarnished my name beyond repair. I am not leaving here until I tell him exactly what I think of him.
I'm really glad you came to help me out this morning, Mickey.
My pleasure, Mr. Dorn. I realize that you're a little short-handed at the moment.
Any amount of work is better than having to put up with that short-order cook.
I'm not going to miss him much either.
In no time, I'm going to prove to Margot that the irreplaceable Mr. Antoine is anything but.
Well, we're going to need someone to do the cooking.
Yeah, but the newest employee is going to be a competent chef. Nothing more. These authorities are going to be confined to the kitchen.
Well, that divisional labor will be fine with me.
You know, Mickey, Antoine's loss is going to be your gain. Quite literally.
What do you mean by that?
You know, Margot worked out the financial arrangement with Antoine. I always thought he was grossly overpaid. But our newest chef is going to have to accept a more realistic wage. And there's going to be a surplus in the budget.
I see.
And that surplus is going to overflow into your pay envelope for next week. I've decided to give you a raise.
That's very generous of you, Mr. Dorn.
You deserve it.
Well, I've always tried to do a good job for you.
Mickey, your assistance behind the bar is one thing. This is for your aid in helping me get rid of Antoine.
Getting rid of Antoine was easy. I wish I had ideas about some other people.
You're still thinking about what happened to your kid brother, aren't you?
Yeah. Sit around the house, expecting him to come home from basketball practice. But he's not coming home anymore. Thanks to that lousy cop.
Mickey, it'll take time for the pain to ease. But it will.
Yeah. My brother'd still be alive if it wasn't for Quick Draw Guthrie.
Yeah, it did appear as if the detective overreacted.
Oh, look, Joey was wrong. I know he was wrong to try to hold up that guy. But the sentence shouldn't have been a death sentence.
Yes, and the cop claims it was self-defense, apparently.
Oh, come on. Against a cat pistol? I'm sorry. I talked enough about this already.
Well, at least he had the decency to quit the force, Mickey.
Yeah, well, I wish he hadn't. Because maybe the next kid he ran into would have a real gun and blow Guthrie away.
Mickey, that's not very constructive thinking.
No. I'm not much for the scriptures, Mr. Dorn. But there's a few things I believe in. Like an eye for an eye.
I hope you're not going to try and take the law into your own hands.
I'm not going to do anything stupid, if that's what you mean.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm also not going to embrace Guthrie and tell him that all is forgiven.
I wasn't suggesting that.
I'm going to be thinking about that cop for a long time. There's a couple of things I never forget, Mr. Dorn. A face or an enemy.
Look, Calvin, I'm sorry my visit was so short the other day, but after all, Paige did need me a hell of a lot more than you did.
Yeah, well, man, I was real flattered that you decided to come running when it looked like I was going to have a hard time, but you really should have checked it out a little better, you know?
Yeah, I know I should have checked it out. Mr. Gullible, right? This lady says you're dying and I come running. After all, I did figure that it might be the last chance I'd have to collect that $20 from you.
Yeah, well, I can't say I'm sorry I had to disappoint you. By the way, did you ever find out how this, what's her name, got that job at the Madison House?
Louise? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just got the story. When Mr. Madison called the employment agency, they sent this lady over. Well, she was intercepted. By who? By who? By Louise. Louise got a hold of her before she got here and told her that the job was filled.
Man, these people really are working hard. They must have had some surveillance on the Madison House.
Oh, yeah, for all I know, they still do.
And there's no doubt it was Louise who called and said I was breathing my last, huh?
That's right, no doubt at all. It was just a ploy to get me out of the house so she could make a move. It's very fortunate for us that I gave Paige a gun, and she had the guts to use it. Listen, what are you talking about me for? I called you. How you doing?
Well, I don't know what to tell you. Theoretically, the operation was a success. Oh, hi, ladies. The nurses just came in.
Wait, what do you mean, theoretically? What are you talking about?
Well, I just have to, hope the pin adheres to the bone strongly enough to support my weight. Otherwise, I may end up walking with a limp, or worse.
Don't worry about it. Everything's going to turn out just right. When they think they're going to know for sure.
Well, it's kind of hard to say. This week's going to be kind of hard. I'm just going to have to wait and see,
Oh, Calvin, you You'll be up chasing those nurses around the hallway in no time at all.
Yeah, I got to keep the faith, right?
Right. Listen, don't think that I've forgotten about you. I'm going to make a personal appearance in the next couple of days, I promise, just as soon as I can.
Oh, well, next time you do, let me know a little bit in advance, because after your visit the other day, a couple of the nurses was asking when my blue-eyed buddy was going to come back.
Really? Yeah, what'd they say? Oh, never mind. I have to keep my mind on sticking to Paige, you know? Listen, I'll call you this afternoon, okay? You take care.
How is Calvin?
Ah, he's got a pretty good chance of being back to normal.
You and he are real close, aren't you?
We've been friends and partners for a long time.
I really feel terrible that you're not able to visit him.
Don't worry about it.
I really think you should be at Monticello General right now.
Forget it, Miss Page. I'm not leaving you alone.
You're darn right you're not going to leave me alone. You're going to take me with you.
Look, when Owen and Brian get back, maybe I'll go down to the hospital for a couple of minutes.
But, Steve, I want to go with you.
What, for fresh air? Look, I know you've been locked up in this house for a couple of days.
Getting
but
fresh air has nothing to do with it. I want to see Calvin. I don't know if he wants to see me, but
Why do you talk like that? It's my fault he's in the hospital. You didn't have anything to do with it, really. I mean, he is the forgiving type.
I don't know if I could even ever forgive myself for how stupid I was. Look, you said you'd take me to the hospital to see him, so what's the matter with right now? Well, does he have company or something?
No, he's all by himself. He's lying in a bed waiting to see if all this mechanical mechanism they put in his knee is going to hold the thing together.
Mm-hmm. Well, then I'm sure he'll be real pleased to see his partner and buddy. And I won't get in the way of your conversation. I'll just sit in a corner and read a magazine.
Paige, why don't you just send him a get-well card, okay? I think that'll be much safer.
Is that what you're worried about, my going out into public? Well, look, the hospital isn't any less dangerous than this house is. Important thing is that I'll be with you.
All right.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, good. Look, why don't we make a whole day of it? We'll go see Calvin, and then we'll go out to lunch, okay? Your treat.
Wait a minute. Have you forgotten who's responsible for laying down the agenda around here?
Yeah, I know, but I need a chance to redeem myself from the last time.
Redeem yourself.
Yeah. Oh, come on. You don't even have to tell me the name of the restaurant. How about it?
Well, I don't think Antoine will be missed by anyone. More than once I've seen people roll their eyes when he came over to tell them how hard he's worked on that meal they were trying to enjoy.
Well, as long as you tell this new chef to stay in the kitchen and keep his opinions to himself, we'll get along just fine.
Yeah.
Oh, look who's here.
Just the two people I wanted to see.
Oh, Antoine, come to collect your paring knives and measuring spoons.
No, I've come to tell you that I know what you two were up to last night, and I'm not going to let you get away with it.
Now, come on, don't place the blame on our shoulders. You were the one who got a bit too greedy.
Yeah, next time you try to rip somebody off, be a little more discreet. And don't carry a book around telling everybody how much you stole.
You were an integral part of Elliot's plan, weren't you, Mickey? You helped him drive the nails into my coffin by corroborating that fable of his.
Look, all I know is I caught you dipping into the till that I'm responsible for. If Mr. Dorn comes up short, I don't want to be blamed for ripping him off.
How much were you paid to tell those lies, huh?
Antoine, this conversation is pointless. Now, why don't you just run along? We've got work to do, huh?
You tricked me. You tricked me into taking that money so that you could later accuse me of stealing it.
Antoine, now, why would I want to do a thing like that?
To discredit me with Margot. You knew that was the only way you could get rid of me.
But you're the heart and soul of the unicorn. Why would I want you to leave?
Because as much as you laugh at it, you know deep down inside that it is the truth. And it galls you that I was indeed the heart and soul of the unicorn.
I think Mr. Antoine's been sipping a little too much of his wine sauce.
I'm not planning on letting you two run this place into the ground. I'm not leaving.
Margot's decision is irreversible.
She'll change her mind when she finds out the truth.
I have told her the truth, Antoine.
I have spent 25 years of my life building up my name and reputation. And I'm not about to let them be ruined by a pair of conniving liars.
Okay, Antoine, that's enough. You're wasting our time. Now, why don't you just run along?
Oh, wait. Maybe I should check the silverware before he leaves, huh? You can never be too careful.
Good point. And don't expect a reference. Who would want to hire a thief? Get out of here! That's enough!
Antoine.
Oh, my God.
Now put the chair down like a nice boy, huh?
You have done it. You've gone and hired yourself a thug. I knew it would come to this.
Well, well. Comes in handy sometimes. You might call it a bar tool.
Well, Paige, it was real nice of you to, come by and see how I was doing.
It was the least I could do. It's my fault you're here in the first place.
Oh, come on, you gotta be kidding. I mean, all you did was help us flush your friend Jed out in the open. It's not your fault when I approached him, he opened fire.
I wish there was a way I could have learned who my real friends were without it being at your expense.
Calvin was just doing his job. I keep telling Paige not to feel so guilty.
You risked your life trying to save mine. Well, I want you to know how grateful I am.
Well, thanks, I appreciate that. Actually, maybe it should be me thanking you. I mean, how else would I get a chance to lie around all day at full pay, huh?
Look, don't worry about this guy. He'll walk out of here wearing a medal on his chest.
All right, and crutches under my arms.
That's what I'm worried about. I don't want...
No, really, I'm only kidding. I mean, now that I've got the pin in my leg, I'm going to be absolutely fine. What you have to worry about is taking care of you, lady.
Well, I'm not worried. I've got my bodyguard.
Dr. Byer needs more help. Please take care of that. I'll take care of the pills you needed. And is there anything else that you had to take care of? No, I don't think so. Just go help Dr. Byer and I'll be back later. Thank you.
Don't worry so much about this guy. He'll walk out of here with a medal hanging from his chest.
And probably a pair of crutches under my arms, too.
See? Now that's what I'm worried about.
Listen, really, I'm only kidding. I mean, now that I've got this pin in my leg, I'm going to be absolutely fine. I mean, me, I got faith in my doctor. What you have to worry about is taking care of you, lady.
Oh, I don't have to worry. I got faith in my bodyguard.
thought you'd like to know she's here. There's just one problem. That guy Guthrie's sticking to her like glue. I know. I know, get him first. That's what you told me the last time. Well, I'll do my best.
Brian, will you just calm down? I told you that there is no way that we're going to keep Paige an absolute prisoner in her own house. Well, the best thing we can do is to make sure that she's protected when she goes out.
Just like she was protected the last time, right?
Brian, nothing happened the last time. She was nowhere near the scene of the action when she went out to dinner with Guthrie. It was the other cop who was hurt.
Yes, because Guthrie used her as some kind of decoy.
Will you stop making me defend him? Honestly, Brian, I thought you were all over this.
You're right. I am. I'm sorry. I'm just upset, Dad. I want you to know I have nothing against Steve Guthrie. I think he's doing the best job possible under the circumstances.
You're damn right he is. If he hadn't given Paige that gun, she'd have been killed in her own house by that phony maid that we hired.
Yeah. She was almost cleverer than he was, wasn't she? Tricking him into leaving the house that way and then making sure Mom was helpless.
Drunk, you mean?
It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yes, Brian, it's the same thing.
You still haven't forgiven her, have you?
I don't know, is forgiveness necessary?
No, Dad, it isn't, because she didn't do what she did of her own volition. She was tricked, just the way Guthrie was tricked into leaving this house. Now, if you have any blame to lay on her, Dad, you blame Guthrie, too.
Brian, it's not the same thing. Brian, he left the house because he believed that his friend needed him. Paige urged him to go. For one thing, he knew that she had a means to defend herself.
But Mom didn't. Don't you understand that? There was no way Mom could have protected herself against that woman coming into her room with a bottle of whiskey.
Yes, I know, Brian. I understand.
Well, if you do, then why are you letting her suffer?
I wasn't aware that she was.
Dad, I'm trying to make you aware. Mom is miserable. She's sure you hate her now.
She has no reason to believe that, Mother.
Dad, Mom doesn't always talk about how she feels. Now, maybe that's the trouble with both of you. You never talk to each other. I'm sorry. I have no right to tell anyone what's wrong with them, you or Mom or Paige. Maybe I am the cause of all this trouble, huh?
Don't be so self-centered, Brian.
No, Dad, I mean it. If I hadn't come back here, maybe you and Mom might have been able to work out something. Maybe my presence around here just adds too much tension to this household, huh? Something tells me you're agreeing.
You know how I feel about this, Brian.
Yeah, I'm afraid I do, Dad. You would much rather I'd never come back at all. In fact, I think you'd much rather I'd never been born.
I'll get it. Hello.
Hello, Owen. It's Margot.
Hey, Margot. How are you?
Well, I'm fine, thank you. I was hoping you're bearing up pretty well. You and your daughter, I was worrying about you.
Yeah, well, she's been keeping the press well supplied with sensational stories, hasn't she? In fact, you've gotten quite a lot of mileage yourself on her on the WMON News.
Well, believe me, we'd much rather be broadcasting happier things, especially about Paige. She's such a beautiful girl. Well, I hope she's being a little more cautious.
Well, we're doing the best we can, Margot. I've hired a bodyguard for her, a fellow named Steve Guthrie, and I've every confidence in him.
Oh, well, I'm sure he's quite competent. He is not, however, one of my favorite people.
Really? Why is that? I think he's pretty likable.
Well, I will tell you the whole story one day. Anyway, I did not call to chat with you, as enjoyable as that may be.
Hey, Margot, maybe we can get together someday, huh?
I'd like that. I'd very much like to see your wife again.
Again? I didn't realize that you'd met Nola.
Well, actually, the person I really would like to talk to is your son, Brian. He wouldn't happen to be home, would he?
Brian? Yes, of course, he's right here. Hold on, I'll get him. It's for you. It's Margot Huntington. Or I should say, Mrs. Dorn.
Hello, Mrs. Dorn.
Oh, how are you, Brian?
Fine, thanks.
I just wondered, are you still interested in that job we talked about?
Yes, yes, I am very interested, Mrs. Dorn.
Well, I've just been going over your application for employment, and I have decided that WMON News could use a bright young fellow especially one who asks for so little and promises so much. So if you're still agreeable, why don't we consider you WMON's newest employee?
Thank you, Mrs. Dorn. That's very good news. Thank you very much.
Good. Well, why don't you stop by tomorrow, say about 10 o'clock in my office, and I will go over the details. Okay? Good. Well, come in. Fine. Fine. Well, talk to you then. Bye-bye. Well, WMON's family is growing.
Oh.
Thank you. Yeah, I just hired Brian Madison.
Owen Madison's son?
Yes, but it isn't just a favor to a friend. He happens to be a very bright, intelligent young fellow. He has a good technical background from the Navy. He studied journalism, and he comes cheap. Oh, well, you don't seem overly thrilled. Oh, thank you.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm a little depressed.
Oh?
Just learned that Draper didn't get that job in New York.
Oh, yes, April told me the bad news. Oh, well, quite honestly, I don't think it's such bad news. I really think it's maybe the best thing that could have happened.
I just don't understand what happened. I mean, from everything April and Draper said, they wanted him very much. I mean, why else would they bring them both to New York?
It was just sort of an inspection tour, wasn't it?
April was so sure that Draper passed.
Well, April was a little bit prejudiced, don't you think?
Oh, I don't think so at all. I mean, I don't think that she was wrong when she said that Draper impressed everybody. For one thing, she didn't exactly convey the news with a great deal of pleasure.
Thank you. Everybody knew how April felt about moving to New York. I mean, she didn't exactly hide her feelings.
No, she sure didn't. Well, she was miserable about living in New York, leaving her new home and her new job.
Not to mention her new mother. Oh, come on. I think the thing that distressed her the most was leaving you and Miles.
Well, I don't know. We were distressed, too, but... Margot, it just seemed like such a wonderful opportunity for Draper.
Oh, come on. I don't believe that opportunity only knocks once. For heaven's sakes, it's knocked on my door several times.
Yeah, well... I'm sure Draper's going to do very well wherever he is.
Nicole, please, just look at it from April's standpoint, won't you? I mean, she's going to be a lot happier here with her family and her friends, and she has her own career that she's building.
Margot, now, come on. You know I'm a firm believer in the principle of what you're saying. A woman has just as much right to a career as her husband, but you got to admit, April's career has just started. I mean, she's just beginning to learn the fundamentals. Draper has spent 6 years in law school, and he's been practicing law for another half dozen years at least.
Oh, well, as I say, practice makes perfect. Oh, come on, he's too young and too inexperienced to be a partner at Seward, Paxton, and whatever.
Margot, nonetheless, I feel very sorry for Draper. It must have been a crushing disappointment. You know, he was told he had the job.
Oh?
April said that very night that man came by the hotel room and told him, assured him he was in.
Well, you know how these things happen.
No, I don't.
Well, obviously, Mr. Henson went home and decided that Draper just didn't have enough experience for the job.
Henson? April told me the man's name was Seward.
Oh, well, whatever the man's name was, he just obviously figured that Draper wasn't right. You know, this news report you brought, I edited it down to about 30 seconds, would you?
Well, you know how Draper is. He's just not satisfied to take no for an answer. He wants to know why. I don't blame him either.
No, I don't blame him either. Here, have a sterilized napkin.
No, thank you.
Gotta admit, it was a pretty sudden reversal there.
You know, but it was a final no. I mean, they weren't going to think about it or anything like that.
Well, look, I don't know anything about law firms. It seems to me that Seward, Paxton, and Whiteside didn't handle this situation very well. I thought lawyers were supposed to be tactful, at least.
Well, what are they going to do, Miles? I mean, if for some reason they decide that Draper's not the right man for the job, all they can do is tell him.
Well, maybe so. Maybe it's best to just be quick about it. But still, they take him to New York. They make all sorts of fantastic promises to him. And I don't know. Something smells wrong about it.
Draper's taking it really hard, too. I feel bad for him.
Oh, you don't feel that bad, though, do you, April?
Well, I'll admit I'm really confused. I just don't know how to behave. One part of me wants to cry when I look at Draper's face and see what he's going through. Another part of me wants to break open bottles of champagne and throw confetti around the place. That may sound bad, but I mean, it's really the truth. I'm glad that I don't have to leave you and Nicole and Margot, my new home, my new job. I can jump for joy when I think that I can stay right here. Does that sound terrible?
No, it just sounds human, that's all.
Well, then come on, join us for dinner tonight.
Oh, what is this? Celebration? You gonna drink champagne, throw confetti?
Well, more like trying to cheer Draper up. It was Margot's idea. She's even made the reservations.
Where is this, at the Unicorn?
Mm-hmm. Draper and I have never even been there.
Well, thank you, April, but I don't think I can make a dinner party tonight. No, I just had dinner with Mr. Elliot Dorn a couple of nights ago. I'm not that anxious to repeat the experience. Thank you
Elliot
very
is
much.
not going to be eating with us. He's going to be taking care of the restaurant.
I'm surprised you're so keen on running into him again.
I'm not. I don't really want to see him, but I can't exactly avoid him. He is Margot's husband. I can't pretend that he just doesn't exist. By the way, speaking of Elliot, you didn't tell me anything about your weekend in Palace Park. How'd it go?
What? Weekend is a weekend. It's all over and done with. Why don't we concentrate on what we can do for Draper?
Oh, no, you don't. You're not getting off the hook that easy. I want to know about Elliot. You did see him, didn't you?
Yes, well, he was a little hard to avoid.
Well, did you talk to him?
I told you we had dinner together, the five of us, Nicole and I, and Elliot and Raven and Logan.
Okay, what I want to know is, did you get a chance to talk to Elliot alone?
We had a little chat, yeah.
Talk about Margot?
Her name came up.
Miles, come on! Trying to get a story out of you is like pulling teeth.
Look,
Tell
if you're
me.
asking if I chastised him about the way he behaved with the maid, Sarah, the answer is no. I told you I don't want to play that kind of role.
All right.
It's not any of my business what kind of a marriage Elliot and Margot have.
You're right. Okay. And he did promise that he was going to reform. Think he meant it? All right. Forget about Elliot. Come on, why don't you come to dinner with us tonight? I asked Nicole, she's willing.
Divide and conquer, eh?
Come on, you mean a lot to me and Draper.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll do my best, but I've got a dozen patients coming this afternoon. I'm so far behind on my record keeping, it isn't funny. I'm going to have to be in this office until after 9 o'clock.
We can eat late. Unicorn won't mind.
Well, now that's over and done with. How about fixing us a drink?
Great.
Well, I guess I'll have to go out and find a new manager now.
Oh, you're kidding me. You're going to hire a new manager?
Well, you see, my wife still doesn't have the most complete faith in my business capabilities.
Seems to me you do just fine on your own.
Well, thank you, Mickey. I appreciate someone who appreciates me. There is just one little thing that worries me a bit.
What's that?
Well, that cannon you produced so suddenly out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. I've been meaning to tell you about that. I keep it under the bar. I guess it slipped my mind. I keep it for obvious reasons. You know, bartenders are always getting held up by some punk who's had a few too many drinks and feels a lot braver than usual. You know what I mean.
I understand, Mickey, but just the same.
Hey, listen, I got a license for it and everything if you're worried about it being legal. You want to see it?
No, Mickey, that's all right. I believe you. Well, I guess I don't really mind. Gives one a nice sense of security to have it around.
It's just the way I feel about it, Mr. Dorn.
We won't need it against Antoine. I think the poor man's already left the city. It's such a shame.
Well, I hope he finds what he's looking for.
Yes. What are you looking for, Mickey?
Well, it's time to change the dressings, Detective Stoner.
Oh, here we go.
I think we better head out.
Oh, too bad you guys can't stick around for lunch. The chef's specialty is a slice of dried beef and some mashed turnips. How does that strike
doesn't
you?
grab me at all.
I didn't
As a matter of
think
fact, Steve said he's going to take me out to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Even though she tried to make a fool out of me the last time, right?
I swore to you I wouldn't do anything like that again.
Well, Paige, I think that's a pretty good idea. I don't mean to be a nag, but I really do think that the less you trust those old buddies of yours, the longer you're going to stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you've earned the right to say that, so.
Come on, kid, let's go.
Oh.
Okay.
Hey, my man. You heal, all right?
Yeah.
You're the only one that gives me any competition on the handball court.
I'll be out there any day now.
Take it easy, Callie.
Okay, take care of the lady.
He looks okay.
Yeah, he's gonna be fine.
I hope so.
See, you got nothing to worry about.
huh?
Steve, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
That was Jed. I recognized him. It was Jed.
I should have fired. I should have brought him down. I couldn't squeeze the trigger. I couldn't squeeze the trigger.
Damn fool kid.
God. Just a toy.
You were some hero, cop. Shooting a 14-year-old kid with a toy gun.
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find, always on our mind, and frustrated days pass without sight, the edge of night, half dark, half light, as we watch our hearts trying to hold the tenderness that we once had, halfway glad and halfway sad.
Thank you.
Damn fool kid.
Just a toy. You were some hero, cop. Shooting a 14-year-old kid with a toy gun.
Table 7 would appreciate the order as soon as possible, Mickey.
What was that? Oh, well, sure, Mr. Dorn, right away.
Thinking of faraway places with strange-sounding names.
What do you mean?
Oh, you were obviously deep in thought. I thought maybe you were thinking of yourself on some tropical island surrounded by a bevy of beautiful native girls.
I think I like your daydream better than mine.
You know, Mickey, summer's almost gone, and you still haven't taken your vacation.
I promise to keep my mind on my work from now on, Mr. Dorn. I'm just thinking about old times.
Well, Mickey, I hope you were thinking of the good old days and not the bad.
Does it really matter?
Yes, Mickey, it does. I've always thought it's better to look to the future and forget about the past.
Easier said than done.
Yeah. Well, look, if you want some time off, that can be arranged.
Huh. Oh, thanks, Mr. Dorn. I don't really have any place to go. And if I did, I wouldn't have the bread to get me there and back. I'd just as soon work.
You set a pretty hard example for a man to follow, Mickey.
Why's that?
Oh, here I am, exhausted, just waiting for closing time. Isn't there a way you can make all these patrons disappear?
Want me to yell fire?
Well, at least when my wife comes through the door, she'll see that we're doing business.
Oh, I didn't know you were expecting Mrs. Dorn tonight.
Yes, she called and she made a reservation for her precious daughter and her not-so-precious son-in-law and the Kavanaughs. And then she said she'd be around, too.
Well, she usually burns the midnight oil.
Well, if April is here, Margot's not far behind. I guess I'll be stuck having a midnight snack with my precious darling. I'll take that. Give me a card.
Hello, this is Dr. Kavanaugh.
Oh, Miles, how are you? This is Elliot Dorn.
Oh, hello, Elliot.
Oh, what can I do for you, Doctor?
Well, I believe that April and Draper are there with my wife, aren't they?
Oh, yes, and having a lovely time, I believe.
Well, would you mind delivering a message for me? I was supposed to have dinner with them.
And you'll be detained.
Well, actually, it looks like I'm not going to be able to make it there at all.
Medical emergency, huh? Well, what a pity. I was looking forward to seeing you again. Are you sure you wouldn't like to talk to your wife?
No, that's all right. Don't bother. I'll tell her I'll try to call her later.
Okay, I'll give her the message, Doctor. Poor Dr. Kavanaugh. Stuck in his office while his beautiful wife sits here waiting for him. Some men just don't appreciate their luck, do they? I'll take those drinks over personally.
Oh, it's just incredible to see what goes on in that control room, Draper. Right, about half a dozen people with headsets on, all talking into them, all at the same time. It's like organized chaos, isn't it?
And it all looks so simple to the viewer. That's a sign of an excellent technical staff.
You know, you really ought to come down to the studio sometime just to see how things work.
No, thanks. I prefer my television to be simple.
There you are. Your drinks, at last.
Oh, thank you. Listen, Elliot, I'm sorry about there only being 3 of us instead of 4. Miles is a little later than he said he was going to be.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry he won't be able to join you after all.
Oh,
Your husband just called and said you'll have to enjoy the evening without him. He got stuck at the office, unfortunately.
I knew that was going to happen.
you know, so did I. The minute Miles called and said he was going to be late, I had a feeling he wouldn't be able to make it.
I gather Miles didn't want to come to the Unicorn.
Please, Mr. Scott, you'll hurt my feelings. Anyway, you apologized for not being able to talk to you on the phone, but you had a patient waiting outside or something like that.
Oh, well, that's all right. Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Looks like we're going to be a threesome.
Well, for all you've added to the conversation, we might as well be a twosome. Cheers.
You know, I think Draper might be right. I don't think Miles wanted to come to the Unicorn tonight. I don't think he cares for the place very much.
Yeah, but he said he'd be here.
I don't mean he's going back on his promise. I mean, he has a lot of work to do at the office. Carol's on vacation. He's been spending a lot of time at the hospital, too.
Looks like I'm going to be burning the midnight oil myself in the coming months.
Why? Why do you say that?
I've got to try to make something in my practice. I mean, if I can't make it in New York, I've got to try to make it in Monticello.
Draper, I always thought you were doing just fine here.
Don't kid yourself, Nicole. There's a big difference between doing just fine in Monticello and doing fine in New York. Swore I wasn't going to talk business tonight.
Nobody said you couldn't.
April said it.
I did not.
Well, not in so many words, April, but with looks she gave me before we got here, after we arrived. I mean, that is the purpose of this dinner tonight, isn't it? I mean, to cheer me up?
Draper, I'm sure you know how much we're all sorry that the job didn't materialize for you.
I don't know what happened. I mean, I expected to be made a partner. Then he calls me and says no thanks.
What reason did he give?
He said that there was a change of policy at the firm.
You could call and ask him to be just a bit more specific.
Look, Nicole, if he wanted me to know, he would have told me.
Honey, look, it's all over and done with. Maybe you should just try to forget about it, huh?
Draper, you have every right to feel down, but it's not as if you have nothing to fall back on.
Exactly. Look, what did Mike do when you told him you didn't get the job? He felt bad, right? But he didn't feel bad at all about the fact that he wasn't going to lose a valued partner.
I could have been a member of one of the most prestigious law firms in the country.
Oh, come on, Draper, please. When I see you this unhappy, it makes me miserable, too.
April, you're giving a terrific performance. You ought to trade in your stopwatch and clipboard for an on-the-air job at WMON.
What are you trying to
You keep saying you're commiserating with me, but the truth is you're happy as a clam about the way this stuff turned out.
Draper Scott, you're not being fair. You have absolutely no right to blame me for not wanting to leave my home, but I would have done it.
Or at least admit that you're happy about it. Sitting there pretending you're unhappy is hypocritical.
Paige, every time you and your bodyguard leave this house, your life has been placed in jeopardy.
I set myself up for that attack at that restaurant, Brian. I told Jeb we were going to Luigi's, and if Steve hadn't taken me to Joe's instead, I might be dead. But it would have been my fault.
Well, at least he managed to stay one step ahead of you, huh?
And Steve was very reluctant to take me to the hospital to see Calvin Stoner. But I insisted, because if it hadn't been for me, Calvin wouldn't have been shot by Jed.
Mm-hmm. And who was waiting in the garage and the parking lot there to take a little more target practice? Your old friend, Jed.
Well, I guess I'm real lucky Jed's such a lousy shot.
Paige, I still say that a bodyguard's first responsibility is the safety of the person that he's bodyguarding. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Steve Guthrie just isn't doing a good job.
Talking about me again, Brian?
Oh, Steve, I'm sorry.
So am I. Talking about you behind your back. But I didn't say anything I wouldn't say to you in person.
Oh, hey, that's okay. That's just fine.
It's not okay and it's not fine. Brian was being his usual overprotective self.
Yeah, well, one can't have too much protection, can one?
That's exactly what I feel. I think you've taken way too many unnecessary risks.
Well, Brian, you've never thought that I was the right man for this job, have you?
No, it's not you. I would have had questions about anyone.
Yeah, well, I've had a few questions myself. About whether being an ex-cop was enough to make me a good bodyguard.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Steve, you can't be having doubts, too.
No, I don't have any doubts, not anymore. I know exactly what I'm going to do.
What do you mean?
I agree with Brian. I'm not the right man for this job. That's why I've decided to leave.
Steve, I cannot believe you're serious.
I really think it'll be for the best.
Brian, this is all your fault. You owe Steve an apology.
What did I do?
Because he obviously heard your little tirade, and if I thought someone was questioning my competency, I might take a little offense and quit, too.
Hold it. I'm not knocking Steve's ability.
Listen, I understand Brian's point of view. Believe me, I haven't decided to quit, resign as your bodyguard because of him.
Steve, look, I have said some pretty lousy things to you in the past, and I'm sorry for that. Paige's problem has made all of our nerves wear a bit thin.
Well, hopefully, you all will be very satisfied with my replacement.
Hopefully, there won't be a replacement.
I am perfectly satisfied with the bodyguard I have. I don't want a replacement.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, Steve, you have done a good job, all right? You have kept Paige from harm.
Yeah, well, we've had some close calls, haven't we? Damn close.
I've already agreed to cooperate fully. What more can I possibly do?
Steve, I remember you told me. You said a bodyguard has to develop a rapport with the person he's guarding. Well, you seem to have that rapport with Paige. I really think you ought to stay.
Paige is very easy to work with. I think she'll get along just fine with anybody who takes my place.
Why do you want to quit? I think I'm entitled to a reason.
Because I'm a liability. As long as I'm around, there are more chances that even both of us might get hurt.
How do you figure that?
Because I'm gun shy. I had Jed right there, and all I could see was that kid Joey Dials.
Steve, you shot Joey Dials out of self-defense.
I shot a 14-year-old kid who was pointing a toy gun at me.
But you didn't know it was a toy gun.
Still doesn't make it right. Not to me.
Well, Jed's gun is real. You can almost bet on that.
That's just the point, Brian. I was in a situation where I should have fired, and I couldn't. Paige, unless I'm positive I can fire a gun, I'm totally useless as a bodyguard.
Steve, you've got to believe in yourself. I really believe you can do the job.
So do I.
That's very nice to know. But the stakes are too high.
Steve, is there any way we can possibly help you?
No, this is something I'll have to work out all by myself. What the hell? All being gun-shy means is I'll just have to find another way to make a living.
This is the kind of work you enjoy. It's been your whole life.
I'll adjust.
Steve, please don't quit.
Look, Steve, Paige needs protection. If you leave, she will not have a bodyguard.
I'm not simply going to walk out. I'll wait till Owen finds a suitable replacement. Someone who's willing to shoot a gun when necessary.
Hey, look, tonight's the worst night he could have picked. My wife's going to be here any second. Matter of fact, she may be here right now.
Hey, listen, sweet baby. You're the one that said you wanted to see me as soon as possible. Now, Logan's been on the campaign trail all day, so he has to go to the office tonight and catch up.
Yeah, I know it's a golden opportunity, but Margot's daughter and husband are going to be here any second, and she wouldn't want to miss that for the world.
Come on, Elliot. You have to think of something. I want you. And Logan may not be home until 1 o'clock or later.
I know it's a license to steal, all right. But I simply have to pass tonight. I'm sorry, Ray.
You will do no such thing. Come on, Elliot, use your head. You can think of something. Tell her you have to visit a sick friend.
I don't think that old chestnut will work very well. I don't have many friends, and few of them... Hey, wait a second. That might not be such a bad idea after all.
There you go. Your mind's working already. I knew it would.
I may not have so many friends now, but there was a time when... Listen, if we could, where?
I don't know. Can't be any place public.
And you loathe motels, don't you? Despite their very great convenience.
Yes, I don't know any of those.
Well, I do know one. It's just out of town on Route 5. It's called Greensleeves.
Mm-hmm. How'd you find out about that?
Oh, I saw it advertised. It's brand new. It's a very great convenience. Now, if you could just swallow your pride once.
All right, I'll meet you there in an hour, and you better be there.
Okay, just a second. You certainly know your own mind, Raven, don't you? Mickey, could you step in here for a minute when you have a chance?
Shame on that, Miles. It would have been fun for you.
Yeah, well, Miles warned us you might have to work late, so...
Yeah, well, so did I. I just left my desk about 10 minutes ago. In fact, I could have used your lovely wife's assistance, but I felt you needed her a little bit more.
Thanks for your permission.
Margot, I understand that Antoine has left the Unicorn.
Oh, yes, unfortunately he has. But don't worry about the quality of the food. Elliot insists that the new chef that we've hired is absolutely first rate.
Well, I'm afraid my husband doesn't have much of an appetite this evening.
Yes, Draper, I'm sorry. April told me the bad news. But look, don't let it get you down. I'm sure there are plenty of opportunities right here in Monticello.
Of course there are. I mean, look at Mike
Carr, he's a perfect example. He spent his entire career in Monticello, and he has got to be one of the most well-respected lawyers in the whole country.
That's right. You know, this could be a blessing in disguise. And if there's ever anything that I can do to help...
Well, don't solicit any more business for me, Margot.
What I was saying was that WMON sometimes has litigation that needs to be settled.
Margot, I'm sure that Draper appreciates the thought. Thank you. But he'll do just fine on his own. Besides, you've done enough for us already.
Yes, well, I just wanted to help. Well, I guess I'd better excuse myself and let you folks have your dinner in peace. I want to look up Elliot so he doesn't think that I'm neglecting him.
Bye-bye, Margot.
Hello, darling.
Margot, so glad you could make it.
Oh, well, I said I would be here, and here I am.
Aren't you having dinner with your daughter?
Oh, well, I stopped by the table to say hello, but I'm afraid I didn't get the warmest reception in the world from my son-in-law.
Well, that shouldn't wholly surprise you.
No, I suppose not. I have to learn to expect a cold shoulder from Draper. Honestly, I don't know why they don't tell more son-in-law jokes.
Listen, don't let that bother you. We can have a private dinner for two.
Oh, would you like that?
Yeah, that's something we've never done. A dinner all alone here in the Unicorn. Tonight's a very good night. We can sample the skills of our new chef.
Oh, I would like that very much.
And we'll do just that. We'll put a candle on the best table in the house. Get some nice champagne.
Oh, you're making me awfully glad I decided not to work late.
Oh, does it ever fail?
It doesn't seem to.
Yes, Mickey.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Dorn, but there's someone on the phone who really wants to talk to you. It sounds urgent.
Who is it? What could be so urgent?
They said something about suicide, Mr. Dorn.
Suicide? Okay, Mickey. I'll talk to them. Listen, you're about to close up, aren't you?
Yes, in a couple of minutes.
Okay, all right. Hello, Elliot Dorn here. Yes. No, I don't know any. What? Yes, of course I know Betsy Johnson, but I thought she left Monticello and went back home. My God. Do you think she's serious? No. No, I couldn't possibly do that. Look, I haven't seen the girl in more than a year. Why should she ask for me? No, listen, I'm telling you, that's out of the question. I can't do that right now.
Darling, what is it?
Hold on a second, will you? It's one of the young women from the old Children of the Earth business, you know, Betsy Johnson. It appears that she's threatened to kill herself.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, she's going through some sort of emotional crisis, and she's locked herself in her room, and the only person she'll talk to is me.
Darling, you just have to go.
Margaret, what about our dinner?
Sweetheart, we can have dinner anytime. Now, if anything ever happened to this girl and you thought you might have been able to help her, you'd never forgive yourself.
I guess you're right. As usual. All right, I'll be there. Just give me the address. But I want you to know that I have nothing to do anymore with anything even vaguely religious. I'm just a friend trying to help out, okay? Give me that address. Yes. Yes. All right, I'll be there. Goodbye. Oh, Margaret, I can't tell you how awful I feel about you having to go home alone.
Oh, well, then I just won't.
What?
No, I'll go home with Nicole. Keep her company. Her husband's working late, and we'll just stay together until one of our husbands decides that he is a married man. Oh, darling, I'm so proud of you for doing this.
And it's not a patient that's causing me all the trouble, it's the paperwork.
With Carol on vacation, it's taking me a long time to get through all of this.
Trust you're making some headway.
Oh, a bit.
April and Draper just went for the car. I'm gonna be home real soon.
Well, I'm just about to call it quits. Maybe I'll even beat you there. Look, I hope I didn't spoil the party.
No, you didn't. This party was spoiled before it started.
mouth shut. Keep calm, Doc. Nobody's gonna get hurt.
Look, if it's drugs you're after, you've come to the wrong place. I don't keep enough drugs around here to make it worth your while.
The only thing I'm here for, Doc, is you. Now you get your little black bag. You're gonna make a house call.
Miles? I don't know where he is. Come on in. Oh, be nice to you. It's okay. Miles!
Hi there, Mrs. C. You're later than I thought you were going to be.
You're still here. Hi, have you met Mrs. Doran? No. This is Brenda, Mrs. Goodman's niece.
Oh, hi, nice to
I
meet
know
you.
your aunt. Nice to
Hi.
meet you.
Where'd you hide the doctor?
You mean he isn't home yet?
No, not yet.
It's really strange. Said he thought he'd be here before we were.
Didn't he say he was about ready to leave when you called him?
Oh, well, you know him. You know, he could have gotten all wrapped up in that medical stuff. He just doesn't know what time it is.
Yeah, well, I know what time it is. It's late.
You here, Doc? It's not too fancy, is it? It's the only place where I could afford the rent. Nothing.
Where's the patient?
Right in here. I don't know how bad she's hurt. The bleeding stopped anyway.
Doesn't mean as much as you think.
She's been in a lot of pain. She's been complaining ever since I got her here.
God, please. Please, I'm gonna die. I know I'm gonna die if you don't do something for me.
Quite a bullet wound there.
Hey, you really know your stuff, Doc.
I didn't need to see it to know what it was going to be. And you got to kidnap a doctor at gunpoint.
Yeah, well, it was an accident. My girlfriend likes to play with guns. One of them went off.
Yeah, I'll just bet that's the way it happened.
Please, can you give me something for the pain?
Hey, Deborah, there's a path up here. Come on.
Okay. Oh, this is wonderful.
Yeah, it's nice. Hey, it looks like it's gonna cloud up.
Oh,
Hey, over there.
Saxon.
Deborah, it's Owen Madison.
Owen.
Well, you told me that you'd be working there until midnight, so I thought I'd just take a chance and give you a call at headquarters.
Yes, well, here I am. Although I don't think I'll be through by midnight. I've got this 10-page report.
You just worked fast, Doc. She'll be all right. You just get that bullet out.
It's not going to stop the infection. She's got to go to a hospital.
This is your hospital, right here.
I can't do this. Don't you understand? This is not going to help her, and it may kill her.
You listen to me, Doc. This is going to kill you if you don't operate. Right now.